highs and lows of the prop bets with the Super Bowl. We're licking our wounds, are celebrating, and popping bottles, as that is the case for Brett Levy. I'm Jake Higgins. This is the Next Best Bet, episode 187. Looking at last episode, I won my under 18 and a half jersey number for the first touchdown, Brett, but other than that, I was wrong on basically everything else, and that seems to be how it goes, especially when I try to bet on a coin toss. I thought I had figured out a workaround. I'm just going to stay away from the coin toss, I think.
Well, Higgins, you're taking a true 50-50 at a pretty solid vig there. I think it's a good call to stay away, but you're looking at Mr. Perfect, baby. I am the Super Bowl. How about that? 4-0 for me, Higgins. Unreal. Look, I got the Bengals at 4, Higgins, because I took a nice number with you in Pennsylvania. I got it at 3.5 here in New Jersey, but game day it was down to 3, so probably some pushes. Betting it before game day, Higgins, saves me because I got an extra point in Pennsylvania, but I got the extra half point when I woke up in the morning here and placed it.
And like we mentioned, the pillars were not broken because there was a way for you to win and for me to lose. Unfortunately, that did happen. We were not both winners. You did get your Levy lock as well, though, isn't that right?
Yeah, the opening kickoff was a touchback, baby. I had a great night. But Higgins, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't see any of these winnings. I immediately donated them right back to my favorite sports book. I thought they really had a tough night dealing with me, and I should lose all my money in the online casino app while my fiance was getting ready for bed. And I was just lying in bed, looking at my bank account, Higgins, and I was like, nah, this is too much. I should give it back.
You're a generous man. You're a very generous man to give it right back. Why even play the game? You got to keep your units. But, Brett, I was trying to think of a beginner's boulevard for this episode, but really, there's a lot of news that instead I think we need to recap because we're positioning into the second half of the NBA and NHL seasons right now. The NBA trade deadline was wrapping up at the end of last episode, but there was some big news right afterwards. Ben Simmons, James Harden, the Nets, the Sixers, they're switching places along with a few picks, along with a few players from Philadelphia also going to Brooklyn, and James Harden and Daryl Morey back together again.
Yeah, it should be very exciting to watch that play out. And I don't know, Higgins, kind of a perfect storm type of situation there. I don't know how many deals over the course of history the Nets and Sixers have made, although they've traded superstars before, I guess, because Dr. J went from the Nets to the Sixers. Now James Harden goes from the Nets to the Sixers. Simmons goes the other way. It'll be interesting to see how he looks, how he plays, but so far, Higgins, Seth Curry's looked really good in a Nets uniform, so that alone has been a positive addition for the Nets, and they look to be testing Andre Drummond out a little bit, giving him some more extended minutes to see maybe if he could be a long-term solution at center for this team. So, outside of Simmons, the Nets were able to get some other pieces, and look, the Sixers did not have to give up any of their top prospects. Thibault still on the Sixers. Maxey still on the Sixers. So, it's the rare trade, Higgins, where I think both teams can walk away, feel like they won a little bit.
And it kind of shakes up the conference, at least the odds for the Eastern Conference. The Nets and the Bucks, as we're talking now, a week after this trade has been completed, neither Harden or Simmons have played for the teams, by the way, but the Nets are the favorites at plus 230, followed by the Bucks at 320, 76ers at 350. the Heat at 550, and the Celtics are rounding out the top five at plus 1100. So a steep fall off after those top four right now, and I think that's fair. All those teams kind of position themselves. The Bucks really didn't have to, but all of them are positioning themselves for a strong second half potentially.
Yeah, I think you raised some good points, but you mentioned an impact trade. Well, I mean, Higgins, there's no bigger impact than Elijah Hughes. Obviously, the former
Yeah.
Cuse, now Portland Trailblazer, 4-0 since acquiring Elijah Hughes. How about that? If you want to win, have Elijah Hughes on your team.
Or if you want to win, maybe go play golf in Saudi Arabia because there's also been some recent news that if you don't watch golf in the winter, which a lot of people that live up north, they fall off of that. They go watch a lot of football, and now is when they start tuning back into golf. Heavy news week, as we saw during the Pebble Beach Pro Am, a few players not participate, instead go play internationally in this tournament over in the Middle East. And now the Saudi Golf League, I forget exactly what the name of it. It's an interesting rumor. You're seeing a lot of these swirling arounds of potential PGA players wanting to go. What it's going to be like, I don't know what I think of it. I think it's a very interesting press or media buzz in the winter that's going to get some people thinking about golf in the early spring, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely got my eyes on the tournament this weekend. I think people are talking about it because obviously at the press conferences they're being asked, and some players are giving oh, I'm not interested in it answers, and then Phil Mickelson on the other side's giving a well, we'll see answer. So
He
yeah,
also has a biography coming out that a little bit of a press murmur came from, coincidentally timed with these questions, I would say.
good point, Higgins. And look, I think it's certainly interesting to follow. I don't have too many thoughts on it right now. I'm watching the Genesis Open. My guy Spieth had a good opening round. I've got some bets I'll talk about a little later, Higgins. So, yeah, definitely a good time to watch some golf, especially this weekend, Higgins. No NBA, well, barely NBA basketball with the All Star game, and football's over, Higgins. So we got some college hoops, we got some hockey, and we got some Genesis Invitational.
But the Saudi golf rumors, what does it mean? Over under 0.5, meaning over it's something, under it's nothing.
Uh, I
Something? I'm
I'm
going
gonna put
something. I'm
no
going with
bet,
something. I'm
no
going with
bet.
something. I'm going with something, at least in terms of getting some people ready for the Masters. I'm getting ready for the Masters. I'm ready for some golf. But, Brett, there's also some March Madness we got to prepare for before we get to the Masters, obviously. And that's always going to be fun. College basketball is interesting right now. I'm dabbling back in, like we said, a lot of people leaving football, tuning back in. Who are the teams right now that some people should be paying attention to, either in the Big Five or some teams that are going to be getting some at-large bids?
Yeah, I mean, Duke has Paolo Banchero, who's obviously a great player. Chet Holmgren at Gonzaga is playing unbelievable basketball as of late. Higgins, I know you left the Pacific Northwest, but
Mm-hmm.
he has been lighting it up over his last probably like month here, but definitely last 2 weeks in February. He's looked really good. So, it's good to see some of the top players performing well. I think we're going to see some interesting teams. Would you believe it, Higgins, if I told you Wyoming is currently the number 22 team in the country?
Wyoming, the number 22 team. Well, that is interesting. I mean, they're not in the Big 12, but the Big 12 does have four ranked teams right now. But, Brett, taking a look back at yesteryear in terms of the Orange's former conference, the Big East, the Friars sitting up top above everybody right now. Who's really expecting this? I don't know. I mean, the Wildcats, I always deem them the favorite year in and year out now that Syracuse is gone.
Yeah, well, Villanova and Providence squared off this week, so those will change, Higgins, because Villanova did win at Providence. But
Good point. Good point.
you mentioned how good Providence has been. It has been really impressive. Um, they don't really have any quote unquote star players, Higgins. So, they're doing it. Ed Cooley is doing it with a lot of what we call role players and guys just, maximizing their potential in their roles. Really good coaching job by him. Probably the favorite for Coach of the Year. So Providence definitely one of the feel good stories for sure, Higgins. I mean, look, we have lots of good teams. Kentucky, Oscar Schwebe, spurned Kentucky coming out of high school. He goes to West Virginia. Then he commits to Kentucky as a transfer, playing really good basketball for the Wildcats. Other transfers, such as like Kellen Grady and Wheeler, big minutes, big roles for the Wildcats. But then they lose, or Ty Johnson hurts his ankle. We'll see how long he's out. So there's some question marks there. Could Tennessee possibly jump them, Higgins? LSU's been a little up and down. Arkansas is finally putting it together. We've seen Alabama play well against really good teams and struggle against teams that are not so good. So I think it's going to be a fun tournament, Higgins. I like Purdue a lot, but I know they'll disappoint me in the tournament. They always seem to do that. But Jaden Ivey, just a special talent at the guard position. I feel like that's what wins in March. So I'm looking at Purdue right now because, they're not the favorite to win it all. So if I wanted a pre-tournament number, they definitely could win the Big Ten tournament, Higgins. That could knock their number down a little bit. So, Purdue's a number I'd be looking at.
I'm also looking at the SEC. I mean, Kentucky, Tennessee. They just played recently. Tennessee got the win over them at home, so it'll be interesting to see them jumping ahead. SEC, they already had the bragging rights in football, and now you check social media, they're talking about basketball too. It's not really fair, but Brett, the one thing about March Madness, everyone always has a chance, and it's always fun to see it at the dance. And we're going to get into our picks in a second. The MLB lockout, February 28th, apparently, is when they need to come to a CBA agreement to start on time. I don't know if it's happening. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Um, I would probably agree with that, Higgins. Doesn't look too good, but you never know. They met for 15 minutes on Thursday, Higgins. I guess 2 weeks prior they met for 7 minutes. So, look, if we keep doubling it every time we meet, we'll be a 30-minute meeting next time, then an hour. Maybe we could start getting some stuff done here.
The power of doubling, we'd get it done hopefully pretty soon. But Brett, I mean, Jeff Passan was tweeting about what is and isn't a chicken wing, so I don't know if we have a lot of hope right now. Let's get into some picks. I don't have an NFL line. I just want to say some of these are pretty interesting. The favorite right now in the way too early Super Bowl lines, the Bills plus 700, followed by the Chiefs closely at plus 750. Rams plus 1200, Packers plus 1300, Cowboys plus 1300, 49ers plus 1500, and the Bengals plus 2000. Some of these names are interesting to me, mainly because there's a lot that's going to happen in the offseason. 49ers, I mean, there's a lot of talk around Garoppolo, Trey Lance, what's going to happen there. The Bills being at the very top, I do like that. I do like that, to be honest, closely followed by the Chiefs. That's going to it just reminds me of the Packers Bucks last year. Let those odds settle down though. Don't take them right now when they're the favorites at plus 700, plus 750. The Rams, though, the Super Bowl champs at plus 1,200, Brett, that's a steep fall off at 3.
Yeah, well, I guess it's tough to repeat Higgins. And look, Buffalo's moved quite a bit since the opening lines. Now, the opening lines come out the day after the Super Bowl. So,
Yes.
take it with a grain of salt. But, um, Yeah, opening line, Buffalo and Kansas City were co-favorites, and Buffalo's now moved ahead of Kansas City. I think the worst number that you ran off there, Higgins, is got to be the Cowboys.
I I
They're
I thought
always
Niners or Cowboys were both iffy to me.
yeah, Niners too with Trey Lance starting first year, but Cowboys they have to put them up there because so many people just want to bet the cow. It's like it's there. We talk about this Higgins from time to time, but like the Yankees, the Yankees are just going to be a minus number. People want to bet the Yankees.
The
The
Lakers.
Alabama Crimson Tide, like people just want to bet the Lakers. That's a better example because Alabama's so good, but yeah, these teams are just going to be a little bit weighted because the book has to measure or at least be prepared for the amount of wagers that are just going to come in on people that just want to take the I want the Cowboys to win. I'm going to bet on the Cowboys.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. Packers at plus 1,300. That's a lot of confidence. I think I grabbed these lines from FanDuel, but that's a lot of confidence despite the rumors around Aaron Rodgers of is he going to stay or is he going to go. But I mean, he just won an MVP again. He's happy. He looked happy to me. I don't know. He also lost a fiance shortly. I have no idea if he's happy. What is going on? We never know with Aaron Rodgers. Is he retiring? It's what is happening with him? It's way more of a big question mark than it should be for someone that is in his prime. Obviously, if you're winning MVPs, but is playing on a top tier. Like I don't know what to make of this line of them at 4 either.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough situation. But Higgins, there are some games this weekend, so let's give out some picks for some action that is going on. I think we hit on the
People deserve
news.
that.
I think we crushed the news, and I don't think anyone's topping that Aaron Rodgers rant you just went on. So I'll just tip my cap and let you give out your hockey picks.
All right, I have two hockey picks, and if you look at the trends with either of these games, because there's only 4 games going on, or at least that I have lines for recording on Thursday night for Friday's games, and talking about the Nashville Predators versus the Hurricanes, if you look at the over/under trends for these teams, the Nashville Predators they are 17-9 on the road at hitting their overs. Carolina, they're 50-50 at home with over-unders. I'm taking the team that's good on the road with an over at minus 105. That's at 6, though. The Panthers versus the Wild. This is where it gets interesting because the Wild, they are 16-4 on overs at home. Except this line is juiced up 6.5 at minus 125. I'm taking the under because you look at a competitive Florida Panthers team, and these teams, when they in their recent 5 games, when they have played another competitive team, they have had lower scoring games. It's going to be a tougher matchup here between the Wild and the Panthers. I'm going under 6.5 at a fantastic plus 105.
Yeah, Higgins, I don't really have too much of an opinion on the Panthers Wild game. I do think that there's a chance that one could be high scoring. The Hurricanes Predators game, I'm a little concerned for you because Anderson has been so good for the Hurricanes this year in net, but there's a chance he's off that night, right? We
Yeah.
don't know who's starting in goal yet. You're taking a bit of a risk here. You're saying I'm getting the better side of this number right now, so let me take it. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I could be wrong too. Anderson could let in 4 tomorrow night, and it doesn't matter, right? We don't know anything.
6.5 is a really high number for night before, though. With a plus 105, I just think that line it's a great value to grab the night before. We'll see where it's at when people are listening to the podcast. Tweet at us at MBB Pod and let us know what you see it at because I found it with some great value on Thursday night.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Higgins, I'm going to look forward to some college hoops on Friday. Not the best slate of college basketball game. Typically, Fridays tend to be a little light. But we do get one matchup in the Big Ten. And Higgins, it's a battle of the worst. 3-11 in the Big Ten is Maryland taking on Nebraska, who is 1-13 in conference. Yeah, 1-13.
Mm.
So Higgins, here's the deal. Maryland is a 1.5 point favorite. I think that's about right. I just don't want to lay -110, -120 on a team that is 3-11 in conference. Because, truthfully, Higgins, this is a if not now, then when game for Nebraska basketball. If they can't beat Maryland at home, who can they beat? So, look, I think Nebraska's going to come out ready to play. I think Maryland's just better. I like Danny Manning a little bit more than I trust Tim Miles as well. So, there's a little bit of that, or not Tim Miles, Fred Hoiberg,
I was going to
excuse
say
me.
Tim Miles.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Tim
No.
Miles was the guy that I trusted, and I lived in Nebraska at the time when they fired him, and I was like, "You're going to regret this." They're like, "What do you mean? Fred Hoiberg's a great guy to bring in." Look at me now. Look at him now.
Yeah, I mean, we won't get into the history of Nebraska basketball,
You're
but
right.
yeah,
That's not as nearly as nice as the football in their eyes, so we can just gloss over the basketball. The
none of it's
UMD
good. It's a
though,
women's volleyball school, Higgins, and that's
that's
it.
true.
And
That's
that's
true.
it. So, look, I'm taking Maryland minus the 1.5. It's -110 on the VIG. So, uh, that's fine. Like, I'm very okay to lay the 2 point, 3 point basket there, Higgins, and just say, okay, Maryland, let's get our fourth conference win. Let's get in. Let's get out. And let's not embarrass ourselves here.
Okay, well, I hope the hook doesn't catch you. I just really hope it doesn't. But Brett, I am jumping into some college basketball myself this episode. I'm going to the Ivy League, and you know what? The Pennsylvania Quakers. They're traveling up north, going to face off against the Yale Bulldogs. And these two teams, they played not too long ago at the end of January, and Penn got the win at home. It was a pick'em game back then, even with Penn at home. Now Penn's on the road, plus 4.5. They've won 5 straight. So even though Penn's 4-8 on the road, look at those road games. Some of those teams are ranked. Some of those teams are some big out of conference games. So it's not a true 4-8 if you really look at it in my eyes. I mean, it's a competitive 4-8 at the least. They're also 13-9 against the spread. So I'm going to play it safe. Grab the plus 4.5 because I think Penn can play a competitive game, keep this one within a basket, or potentially win it outright. But I'm not going to be risky enough to go and take that money line.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Higgins. And look, you're betting Ivy League basketball because you're a degenerate. I'm betting the worst game in probably Big Ten basketball history because I'm a degenerate. And we
I've been
just
having
get on
better
with our
success
lives.
with the games with smaller handles that have less eyes on them. I seem to have better success. That's why I'm jumping in to some non-power 5 basketball with my college
I
basketball.
don't know. I'd watch out. All those politicians out of Penn and Yale. There might be some line fixing there, Higgins.
I
You never know.
I think the lawyers probably have that covered because they're also from Penn and Yale.
Yeah, yeah, the lawyers. Fair enough. All right, we'll see what happens. But Higgins, we mentioned the golf. We mentioned some news from the golf. The Genesis Invitational from Riviera is going on right now, Higgins. I placed 2 bets prior to the tournament, so the people can root for me or against me. I
I'll root
got
for you at least.
Thank you. At least I got you. So Tony Finau to finish in the top 20 was plus 180. Higgins. Look, I listened to quite a few people this week tell me that they were betting on Tony Finau to win it all. I did not feel that he was playing that well, but I was confident in these people, and you know, we use this thing called Data Golf as well that sponsor some projections on our websites at work. And, I saw they had Finau doing pretty well here. So I saw the plus 180 number, took a shot at it. He's -2 after round one, tied in 22nd. So he's right on that borderline, Higgins. Seamus Power is an Irish golfer, Higgins. Older guy, but young on tour. He had to work his way up a little bit. Playing pretty well this year, been in the mix in a lot of these tournaments, just like,
You talked about the
hanging.
Pebble Beach. He won that.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, he's been good. It looks like he has figured out his game to the point where he's going to be a name we see on leaderboards in the PGA Tour. So, top 20 plus 200 felt reasonable for him as well, and he's -1, tied for 43rd after round one. Higgins. So he's in the hunt. I'm not as confident about him. I would like to see him closer to that -2 number. He's obviously got to gain a stroke on about half the field tomorrow. So, yeah, that's a big order. But look, the leader's -8. Jordan Spieth went low today with a few others at -5. Higgins, but I'm a Spieth guy. I can't watch the golf this weekend and be rooting for him and not have a little action in the game, Higgins. So, to give you an idea of who he's possibly going to be paired with throughout the weekend, Scheffler, Homa, and Cameron Young are all -5 with Spieth. Joaquin Neiman is the leader at -8. Charlie Hoffman, Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Cameron Smith are all in there at -4. CT Pan and Kokrak also there at -4. So a few names up there, Higgins, that we know. Some probably surprises to the people, but I am hopping on Spieth after round one for the podcast at plus 1,200. Higgins, since I have placed this bet, the line has already moved, so the people can't even get the plus 1,200 anymore. I beat you guys. It is now plus 1,100 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So, people, including myself, are betting on Spieth.
Yeah, and it's actually just dropped back down to plus 1,100. Neiman's at plus 500 right now. He has a three-stroke lead, a massive 63 on day one. Lots of golf to be played, though, Brett, as we both know. 3 more days of golf, so there's a lot of golf to be played, but Jordan Spieth, a great day one at 5 under as well, setting himself up for a primetime run. I'll be watching some golf. I'll be rooting for your picks. I'll be sitting on the sidelines, though, as I watch some more college basketball and prepare for this March Madness that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch some hoops as well, Higgins. I gotta be honest. Saturday, I'm going wedding band shopping, so
Ah,
my college basketball watching will be cut into a little bit. I'd be lying if I said I really had a good reason to fight this, right?
no, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what you could be watching this weekend, which is the last opportunities we have for another 2 years now, is some Olympics because it's closing out the last few days, but you still have a little bit, and that's at night, and they don't have wedding band shops that are open at night.
Higgins, I'm gonna be so bluntly honest with you here. You're gonna crack up. I have not watched a single minute of the Olympics, so why am I gonna start now?
Because you can. It's never too late.
No, no, I'm good.
All right. Well, let's
I'll
get to the
watch my
Levy
New
lock
York
and the pick of the
Rangers.
pod then.
My
How
New
about
York
that?
Rangers are fucking on fire. They're unbelievable.
Let's get to that Levy lock. pick of the pod. You won, so you have the honors, good sir.
Yeah, I had a great Super Bowl betting Higgins, and then right before I was going to bed, hopped on that casino part of the app and donated it all back to my favorite casino. So how about that? You win some, you lose some. I'm hoping I win this one. Maryland's hoping they win this one. Can't be losing to Fred Hoiberg and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Sorry, Higgins. Sorry to your dog Husker, who's named after the Cornhuskers. Sorry to all your friends back in Nebraska. But you just can't go in there and lose. So, yeah, give me the 1.5 points. It's not worth it for the extra 10 cents on the money line.
Fair enough. I was hoping that you were going to go for your Spieth pick and just go balling with a plus 1200 call on day one with your golf pick for your Levy lock, for being honest.
You know what? That would have been some big cojones. But, I'm just taking the turn. I'm back in a 3-11 in conference team here
Yes, you
that
are.
fired its coach mid-season. And it's not even a fired coach game. I mean, look at that.
It's really a Higgins game, though, if we're being honest. You mentioned my dog in Nebraska. My sister went to Maryland, so we got this entire game
Oh,
covered.
I'm back in Molly Higgins. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a lock. That's definitely a lock.
Well, my pick of the pod hopefully is also going to be a lock, and that's going to be the Florida Panthers, Minnesota Wild under 6.5 at plus 105. Like I said earlier, fantastic value. While the Wild are doing amazing at hitting overs at home, this is going to be a very competitive game, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sharp goaltending, because if you look at how these teams have played recently, when they're playing playoff caliber teams, these are much low scoring affairs. And 6.5 the night before was way too high. I had to grab that opportunity. It'll be interesting to see where that is on Friday, though, when most people are listening to this podcast.
All right. Well, Higgins, it'll be a fun weekend. Less sports than we're used to, but I think we'll get through it. And then once the NBA is back next weekend, we'll be feeling pretty good, I think.
Absolutely. We also have the NFL draft, so I mean, while it's 6 months till football, we'll get some spurts here and there.
Oh,
We'll
I
get a little
root for a lot of losers. I'm well versed in being excited for drafts.
bit. Lots of draft picks this year for both the Giants and the Jets. That's for sure. We'll have some extra picks potentially. Make sure to follow us on social media at NBBPod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page. You have listened to the 187th episode of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again soon.